Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking into some experiences that, well, they're hard to shake. We're talking about unsettling encounters involving children where figures you'd expect to be innocent reveal something else entirely. We've got three different accounts, chilling stories from various sources, and they all leave this lingering feeling of strangeness. These aren't just tales or things that made people really question what they saw.
Absolutely. And these kinds of accounts, they really tap into something primal, don't they? That unease when the familiar suddenly feels off. It reminds you that the unexpected can surface anywhere.
Yeah. Exactly. So get ready. We're going to walk through these stories, look at the strange details, and try to understand what makes them stick with you. Let's start with the first one. It happened late one night at a gas station. This story is from someone who was about 11, maybe 12 at the time. She played competitive softball, nationally ranked team, so lots of late night travel across the country for tournaments. On this one particular night, it's around midnight, they're driving somewhere in the middle of America. She'd been asleep, and they pull into a bathroom break. She and a teammate, they decide to just stay in the car while their moms go inside. Okay, so the moms go in, lock the car doors. A few moments later, she notices another car pull up. Parks a few spaces away. It's the only other car there. It's that late. Inside this other car, she sees a middle-aged guy and a little girl, maybe 6 to 8 years old. She figures it's his daughter. You know, they looked quite alike. So she makes eye contact with the little girl, and the girl gives her this big, friendly smile. Our narrator, she smiles back, waves even, thinks the girl is just, adorable. The little girl says something to the man, and he looks over at the narrator, too, and he smiles as well. Seems totally normal, right? It's sweet, even. But then it changes. The narrator looks away for a second. The man gets out and goes into the gas station store, leaving the girl in the car. When she looks back at the girl's face is completely different. She looks genuinely terrified. She starts, hitting the car windows, frantically motioning for the narrator to come over. Instantly, our narrator's adrenaline just spikes. She's thinking, oh my God, what if he kidnapped her? Is she in trouble? She's really selling his panic, She even tries to wake up her teammate who'd fallen asleep again, but her friend just gives her a dirty look and rolls over. So she's alone with this. She's turning back thinking, okay, maybe I should get out. Maybe I should go see what's wrong. But right then, she sees something. The little girl looks towards the store window. The man is standing right there inside watching them. He smiles at the girl and gives her this little nod, a definite nod. And the girl just smiles back at him, like a knowing smile. Then, snap, she turns straight back to the narrator and immediately starts the panicked act again, hitting the window, looking desperate.
Yeah, that sudden shift, it's the orchestration, isn't it? That's what's so deeply unsettling. It wasn't just a child in distress. It felt rehearsed.
Exactly. Rehearsed is the perfect word. It felt completely performative. And that switch, that specific look between them, the nod, it just screamed wrong.
It really plays on our expectations, our instinct to protect a child. But the coordination suggests something much more deliberate, a pre-planned lure.
Totally. It completely changed how the narrator saw the situation. After seeing that nod, she knew something was off. This wasn't real panic, it was an act. She decided right then, nope, I'm not getting out of this car. She figures, okay, I'm just a kid myself, what can I do? I'll just tell my mom when she gets back. So next thing, the man comes back out of the store. He hadn't bought anything, by the way, just stood there watching. He gets in his car, and him and the girl start talking, kind of glancing over at the narrator. Then the little girl sort of shrugs, and the man pats her shoulder. They start to drive away. As they're pulling out, the narrator looks over one last time. And the little girl is looking right back at her with this huge, chilling smile on her face. Just unnerving. She was so freaked out. She didn't even tell her mom immediately. She was just processing, But later, thinking it over, she felt certain it was an attempt to lure her out of the car. And the creepiest part for her was how orchestrated it all seemed. Like this wasn't their first time trying something like that. Makes you wonder what might have happened if she hadn't seen that nod. Right. Okay. So that was deception. Now let's shift gears. Our second story, this one, takes us somewhere else entirely. A high-end nursing home overnight shift. And this one, it blurs the lines a bit. The person telling this story was working on a general unit. One resident, Mary, was very close to passing away. When the narrator got there for her 6 p.m. shift, the day nurse told her, Mary's going soon, family suddenly showing up, which sadly happens a lot apparently. People live there for years, no visits, then suddenly everyone appears when the end is near. This was a pricey place, rooms like hotel suites. Maybe the family was there for grandma, maybe for other reasons. Anyway, Mary had been there 4 years. The narrator didn't even know she had family besides a fiduciary. And she goes to meet them. In Mary's room, there's a son, a grandson, and sitting on the floor just outside the room In the hall is a little great-granddaughter, maybe 7 or 8 years old. The adults are inside, kind of dozing or on laptops, basically ignoring the little girl who's just roaming the unit unsupervised. It's going to be a long night. The narrator notices the girl isn't scared of the residents. First time she spots her properly. The girl is in another resident's room, just gently stroking the elderly woman's face. The narrator steps in and tells her, "Hey, you need to go back to your great-grandma's room. Please don't go into other residents' rooms." The girl just gives this pretty little smile and says, "I like the way her skin feels." Oh, okay. Kind of creepy, maybe. But kids can be weird. Maybe just innocent curiosity. The girl leaves, goes back towards Mary's room. The narrator gets back to work. Didn't see the child for a while. Figure maybe they took her home since it was getting late. But then around 1:00 a.m., the narrator comes out of the med room. And there's the little girl again. Standing low in the hallway, just staring intently into another resident's room. Not going in, just staring. So the narrator walks down the hall, a bit annoyed now, thinking, okay, seriously, why is this kid wandering around at 1 a.m.? She's about to tell her off again. But before she can say a word, the girl turns, smiles that same pretty smile, and asks, "Do you like to touch them?" The narrator just stops, thrown off completely, manages to say, "What?" The girl looks towards the room she was staring into and clarifies, "The old people. Do you like touching them when they're dead? Does their skin feel any different when they're dead?"
Wow. Okay, that question, coming from a child, especially with that detached curiosity, it definitely crosses a line, doesn't it? It's more than just morbid curiosity.
Right. It's incredibly chilling. The narrator was just speechless. It's dark, the middle of the night, and this little kid is asking about touching dead bodies. She seemed way too articulate about it, too. When the narrator doesn't answer, the girl asks again, "Does their skin feel any different when they're dead?" Still stunned, the narrator just tells her, again, "Go back to your great-grandma's room." This time, the girl glares at her, like really angry. Angrier than you'd expect a kid to look. But she does turn and walk back down the hall. Mary passed away around 4 a.m. The narrator didn't see the little girl again after that 1:00 a.m. encounter. Honestly, she was kind of relieved, half expecting to find the girl in Mary's room. The son and grandson left before the funeral home people arrived. But the narrator distinctly remembers not seeing the little girl leave with them. She just assumed maybe they took her home earlier after their chat. But it bugged her. She never actually saw the girl leave. She felt uneasy the rest of the shift, kind of looking over her shoulder. The next morning, she's telling the day shift nurse about this creepy kid. And the nurse says, "Oh, glad she wasn't here on my shift. It was just the son and grandson." The nurse is adamant. The little girl was not there during the day shift before the narrator arrived. That's when it hit the narrator. Driving home, she realized, she hadn't seen anyone else interact with that child all night. No one else spoke to her. She never actually saw her go into Mary's room or saw her leave the unit. And she hadn't mentioned the weird questions to the family, didn't want to be rude while Mary was dying. The family never mentioned a little girl being there.
So the implication is, was she even real? Or perhaps some kind of manifestation tied to the place or the event of dying. It really dips into that spectral territory.
Exactly. Was she a ghost? Some kind of projection? The narrator said she didn't sleep well that night, and ever since, she gets creeped out by kids in hospitals or medical facilities. It left a real mark. Okay, deep breaths. For our third story, this one is arguably the most disturbing. It didn't happen to the narrator directly. It was back in the late 80s, around when she was born, but her family experienced the aftermath. So, late 1980s, there was this teenage boy who walked past the narrator's family home every single day, going to and from school. Lived a few blocks away. Her mother remembers him clearly, always alone, always looked incredibly lonely, sad even. She actually felt sorry for him. Turns out this boy was locker partners with the narrator's cousin, Jim. And Jim confirmed that the kid was super quiet, kept to himself, isolated, just a sad boy. Then one day, everything changes. A friend goes over to the sad boy's house. He lived there with his cousin. The friend leaves the house, apparently in a total panic, and goes straight to the police station. The story calls it an interesting souvenir. It was a severed human head. Yeah, the culprits, the sad boy, and his cousin. The story that came out was horrific. There was a runaway girl staying with them at the house. One morning, they're having breakfast, and the sad boy just casually says, "Hey, let's kill her."
Casually.
Yeah.
Over breakfast.
That's what they said. So they put down newspapers in the basement. The sad boy stabbed her while his cousin held her down. Then they dismembered her body. Here's another detail. The cousin cut off one of her index fingers, wore it on a necklace as a charm. They showed the head to that friend who visited, and that friend somehow had the presence of mind, or maybe just pure shock, to take the head and go directly to the police.
The casualness you mentioned, the on a whim nature of it, that's profoundly disturbing. It speaks to a complete lack of empathy, a detachment from the value of human life that's hard to comprehend.
Exactly. It wasn't a crime of passion or some long-brewing plan, apparently. Just an idea they had over breakfast.
It really highlights that disconnect, doesn't it? Between the outward appearance, this quiet, sad boy, and the capacity for such extreme casual violence. It suggests something deeply wrong internally, maybe psychopathic traits or severe antisocial personality disorder.
For the narrator, the most terrifying thought is that this boy, the seemingly ordinary, withdrawn kid capable of that, walked past her house, her family's house, every day for years. You just don't know what's going on behind someone's eyes. She made a point to say, look, this doesn't mean all quiet or lonely people are dangerous. Obviously not. But this specific sad boy.
Yeah, he had some very, very serious issues hidden beneath that quiet demeanor. So there we have it. 3 incredibly unsettling stories. The gas station lure, the calculated deception using a child. The nursing home encounter, blurring lines between real and something else, full of chilling questions. And then the sheer casual horror of the sad boy.
Each one really forces you to confront uncomfortable truths, doesn't it? About vulnerability, about perception, about the potential for darkness where you least expect it. They challenge our assumptions about safety and innocence. They absolutely do. These aren't easily forgotten. They stick with you because they hit those fundamental fears. The innocent figure turning sinister, the familiar place becoming threatening, the hidden darkness behind an ordinary face.
It reminds us that reality can be stranger and sometimes much darker than we often assume. The exteriors can be deceiving.
It does leave you thinking, what does it mean when childhood innocence, or what we perceive as innocence, becomes the vessel for our deepest fears, or reflects something we just can't explain? Definitely something to mull over. Well, thank you for joining us on this pretty intense deep dive today. If these stories caught your attention, made you think, or maybe just creeped you out a little, please do like this, share it, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. We explore more stories from the shadows right here. Until next time, take care and good evening.